There's a major problem that we're all dealing with in the workplace, right? We discuss layoffs, the job search, girl bosses. There's another demographic we need to address. It's not DEI hires either. It's workplace simps. There's loads of simps in the workplace. They just make work a more difficult environment for most men because they set the standard of simping so high that many men really struggle to survive in the workplace environment these days. So this is your final warning for the simps out there at the work. Stop simping, right? If you have to send a message directly to a male coworker, just tell them stop simping, send them this video. Hopefully you can help correct their simping ways. Now, we're going to expose beta orbiters in this video. Beta orbiter is just another word for a beta male that orbits a woman, and he's a simp. Now, I'm sure many of you have seen this popular meme where if a so-called Chad passes a compliment to a woman, she'll react well, but if another man doesn't, who a woman doesn't find attractive, she will report him to HR. So that's the reality of simps. It doesn't end well for them. So next up, we're going to look at a few clips to understand the reality of simping and how we need to help reverse this trend to make the workplace a more palatable environment for most men.
With it as a man, and most of my audience does as well. The first thing is just to recognize that fact. The first thing is just to recognize, at least in the West, this has been so militaristically pushed on women that this is the good in life, that you should enter voluntarily into an authoritarian regime, which is a company, corporation, it's a top-down dictatorship, and that you should sacrifice 8, 10, 12 hours a day to get a paycheck that then you spend on yourself. And what they've been told, they didn't start it, they didn't fight for this, they are born into this system where that's what they're told, that is the good in life. We're not going to reverse that anytime soon. So
before we continue with another clip, first we need to understand you're not going to change feminism and the bias in favor of women unless you have a macro change, which I don't think you should wait on. So you should adapt instead of reversing it, right? Women choose to be in corporations, which he mentions like authoritarian dictatorships. They're being trained, or they choose to work selfishly, spend on herself, not anyone else. Men typically take into account if they want to save for a family. This is not necessarily how women think, and have to spend their money on a woman if they're taking her out. I've seen many cases in the real world, and you can look up this yourself, where a woman will get married to a man. And firstly, I've seen many cases where women will be talking trash about their husband or boyfriend in the workplace environment when he's not around, just because they need somewhere to vent about they're always whinging about one thing or the other about their husband or their boyfriend that they are in a relationship with. And many women also financially set themselves up with a to-go bag, like a escape bag, which is just another word of saying a woman maintaining significant savings for herself that are secret from her husband, so she can go and divorce him or leave him if anything happens and she chooses to. Now, lots of men don't do the same for themselves. Lots of men think they're sharing the living costs with a woman, and the men and women are contributing equally. A lot of the time it's not. A lot of the time it's more the man spending money on the woman. Even in cases where women who get beneficial promotions and hiring practices and in senior roles compared to some of their boyfriends or husbands, they're not spending money on them, on their husband or boyfriend. They spend money on themselves or saving it for secret escape if they want to do that, right? So it's really interesting seeing this kind of bias dynamic, but still, because there's workplace simps who will always lending ear, be the emotional tampon for a woman to dump her emotions, be the work husband of these career women who've also already got a boyfriend or a husband. The guy at work will be the simp, the beta orbiter, go for her long coffee breaks away from the desk where she wants to vent and dump her emotions on a man. These workplace simps, they basically do a lot of extra work for the woman, be the emotional dumping ground for her, and they basically turn the workplace into everything revolving around what interests her, right? And so that's very interesting to consider, right? You know, a lot of men don't realize this. Men who are in husbands or boyfriends, they don't realize how much their wife or their girlfriend will talk negative about them in the workplace environments, because they're not there, of course, right? And women tend to vent about what they're thinking, and then a lot of these beta orbiter guys will say, be the lending ear for that, right? Society's put incredible restrictions on men behavior, how men can look at women, or the male gaze, or how men can talk to women, and all these ways he can be cancelled with false allegations or accusations, or how he can phrase things to a woman, how she can retell a story in a way that makes him look negative instead of positive. So all these things can happen, right? And society doesn't discipline women or hold them accountable or give them any sense of responsibility for their actions. They can always play the victim when it's convenient, the damsel in distress, or a man did this, or she doesn't get preferential treatment at hiring or promotion. She can always play the victim when it's convenient and always be empowered when it's convenient and be leverage the incredible media bias in her favor, or the government bias, or the corporation bias in her favor, right? And society just reinforces what women want to hear, girl power, girl boss, things like that, and not tell them the truth. And at the same time, it's constantly demeaning and demoralizing and emasculating men, right? So the truth is, if you're a man and you're in the workplace environment, you should think, how overly helpful are you being to a demographic that has already been giving countless advantages over you, and you're expected to compete with them as if it's a fair competition when it comes to promotions, when she's getting all these additional benefits throughout society. So let's learn more from this particular example here.
I think there are a couple of things that we need to change as men. One, we got to stop helping women because they're women. And I know that's controversial, but it shouldn't be. And I'll tell you why. So there are only two possibilities, right? We got to stop helping women just because they're women. That should be completely non-controversial. And I'll tell you why. There are only two options here. There are only two possibilities. One, that we are helping women because they need our help, right? Two, that we are helping women and they don't need our help. Oh, if it's two, then it shouldn't be controversial at all, right? We're just mansplaining. And that they don't need no man, they don't need no help. Great. So stop helping them. Stop trying to give them clues. Stop trying to do their work. I had a lady at a place I was contracting with, and she was tasked with changing the customer service. She's the head of customer service, and she comes to me and she's like, "Hey, you know what? Hey, I really need some help here. There's all this analysis," and she knows I worked as a consultant. She knows I do that, and I need some help, Rich, to do some analysis and figure out, how to do all the metrics on what the people are doing. And I told her, there's nobody better to do that than you. No. In the past, I would have said, "Oh yeah, sure. Oh, no problem. I'll help you out. That's okay. Yeah." No, stop it. And I know if you're a man and you're competent, you've done this. I know it. So, okay, so they don't need our help. Go do it, right? And you see them going from man to man, trying to figure out somebody to do their work. Stop doing their work, even if you get pressure to do it, so on, just because they are not doing well. Let them do it. Now, the second part is, the first option is that we are helping them, and they do need our help. Well, that's offensive to women. I can understand that, right? From a woman's perspective, why does she need a man's help? Okay, so then the answer is stop helping her because she's a woman. Because if she does need your help, she shouldn't be in the position that she's in, right? So stop it. It's not helping her to advance in her career organically. You are simply propping her up, and she's incompetent in her role. That's not good for the company. That's not good for her. That's not good for the group. So
this is what I'm saying. Stop simping. If you're a workplace simp, we'll put you through rehab. Reach out to me. I am offering career advice. I will help redeem your simping qualities and turn them into actual positives. So I've noticed cases, for example, working on trading floors where men will be beta orbiters, for example, in tech teams, where you'd have one woman and mostly men doing the work, and then the woman would always get constant help from the other men. I remember one time I was working in a private bank. A private bank is like a bank for high net worth individuals instead of companies. And what they do is essentially, like I say, help very rich people manage their finances. And I remember a woman coming from another team kind of asking me to help her with a task when I wasn't in her team or kind of department. And she tried to, I don't know how to say it nicely, but kind of casually flirt with me. And I was just not going to do a whole bunch of extra work for her. And she kind of took the hint that I was quite busy, and that's what you could always do. I'm busy doing what I've actually been assigned with in a nice way. And then I ended up spreading that work between like 5 other people. And I did a little bit of it, but most people helped with other people helped with it. So that's what you got to do. Stop making yourself overly available as a man. In historical terms, when you had tight-knit communities, men and women would have more complementary relationships. Now it's competitive relationships. So in the past, you might be a man and you'd help an elderly woman maybe, fix some issue within her house, right? As a man who's more competent in DIY and manual labor. And then the old woman might contribute to your household by cooking some food, right? Or something like that. But we don't really have those social dynamics anymore. The social dynamics are all transactional relationships between the worker and the company, between men and women, even between citizen and government. It's very transactional now, right? So that's just something you need to adapt to. I remember a woman who literally had a degree in astrophysics, and she'd worked in finance at a few other companies, and she was working in this new team and this new department that she hadn't worked in before, and she was constantly getting help from a member of my team, and he was a simp. He was basically the third wheel or the literal beta orbiter kind of her, and she was married to she was in a relationship with a high-powered lawyer, and he was always kind of listening to her vent about her emotions, about her relationship, always giving her extra help with her job because she didn't know what she was doing, even though she was constantly bragging about having a degree in astrophysics and being super smart. And it just is what it is. But it's just like, you see this constant thing all the time, right? There's a phrase, behind any strong man is a strong woman, or beside any strong man is a strong woman. In reality, it's like behind any strong woman you see in the corporate environments, there's like at least one or two other guys doing her work. And one of the last jobs I'd worked at, I won't name the investment bank, but there was like one woman in charge who had accelerated career growth right from her early 20s to her early 40s now, being promoted to managing director at the youngest level in the company because she was one of the favorite of senior management, right? She went from intern to managing director at the quickest rate. And then who's kind of working for her? She has like 5 guys who are like middle-aged guys or older than her who are in 45 to 50 range, who basically the next level of management beneath her, and they do all the work, and she just presents it in a nice way to senior management because they want gender equality and they want women in more positions of power. So this is just how it works, right? And I've dealt with loads of things like that on the trading floor of other sales and trading divisions at investment banks. Women indirectly asking me for help to do their extra work for them or help them fill forms out and things like that. And I don't mind being helpful to like junior employees because I know how really toxic a lot of these banking environments can be. So if you're more junior and you just join the firm, I'll be a little more helpful. But then after a level at the point, it's like you'll kind of get some, especially when it's teams that are getting paid a lot more than you, right? If people are in a sales team and they're getting paid 50% more than you, for example, and it's like, I'm not really going to overextend myself to help a woman who's already getting the benefits of loads of benefits socially in this kind of dynamic. And then, and this is the thing, right? So what ends up happening is if you don't help, in some cases, you could be reported to senior management for not being a team player. That's why you have to navigate it carefully. Like, oh, you're just so busy, you didn't have a chance to help her, maybe next time, and politely put it back on them, right? And that's what he mentioned in this example with the head of customer service or customer services, something like that, asking her to help. She was asking him to help her. And it's like, if you're a woman and you've been put in this position, you shouldn't be asking someone else who's in a kind of different role to help you, right? And one thing you've got to be careful of, these workplace simps, hopefully we're redeeming you right now, is that lots of times your female co-workers might want to go off the desk to drink a coffee at a local coffee shop and gossip and vent about, oh, this co-worker's that co-worker's that. And if you don't, they want you to kind of play into their emotional outburst, and you shouldn't really do that. You should be very careful about that type of dynamic because you'll get dragged into some kind of friend zone dynamic. It's kind of weird, right? And also, in instances where you are helpful, a woman can be condescending and say you're mansplaining, right? And you get treated like a second-class citizen, and simultaneously you're being asked to help. So it's just kind of like, doesn't make sense, right? And then when you have these type of dynamics, you have, everyone sucking up to them, right? You have senior management who are sucking up to women to promote them quicker because senior management get certain hiring quotas that they have to meet to help put more women in positions of power under gender equality. Then you have women who have male colleagues at the same level as them who will be simps, who will be sucking up to her to help her do the work, right? And then sometimes you see women succeed on the basis of their ability. I'm not saying that doesn't exist. I'm just addressing the simps right now. But sometimes women will really be good at leveraging their social skills, which management want, particularly for like managerial roles. You have to manage other people. So they get promoted based on the appearance of their ability, not the actual ability. And an important point to learn as a man is that the social contract is completely broken, right? Women don't reciprocate. So if you be overly helpful with a woman, will she be overly helpful with you? Or will she take credit for the work when senior management are looking into it? And that's why it's an interesting dynamic to consider where you should be more collaborative and helpful with other men who might reciprocate that help, and form like kind of tighter bonds with some of those contacts. You got to be careful though, because like I say, a lot of men can be quite negative too, and backstabbing and gossipy. So just be conscious of these type of social dynamics, particularly if you're a man and you're going to be an honorable man and do the right thing. People aren't really going to do the right thing by you, so just bear that in mind.
If you are a young man, realize that we are in a transitioning culture, and that you're not going to reverse this anytime soon. So you have to flow with it. You know, from the women's perspective, if there are any women still watching this, like, step up, go for it. God bless you. Go for it. Like, this might be a fantastic thing. We might get a whole new perspective on how we do work, how, what we can build, what we can do together. And I welcome that. I welcome all the women to the workplace to build things on merit, to do stuff on merit. And am I going to help you out because you're a woman? No. You can do your own job and go for it. And if that's okay, that's offensive. But like, if you're competent in your work, I don't need to help you. I don't need to do it. You got your women in leadership organization and all of this stuff, the meetings. For the men, I encourage you, get together with other men. Doesn't have to be the men in leadership club. Get together for lunch. Get together for breakfast. Religious-minded, get together for a prayer breakfast or a spiritual breakfast. Get together with people in your industry and out of your industry. Let's start getting together as men, and this idea of toxic masculinity is nonsense. Let's get together with non-toxic, amazing, just awesome masculinity, because that's what's built society so far.
Is that as a man, you want to progress, and you can really only progress on the basis of your merit, right? How good you are at the job. But that just doesn't work anymore, right? You just need to adapt to this new environment, right? As a man, it's important to work smart and not work hard, because you're not going to get rewarded for hard work. And I agree with him. Women get all the benefits of professional networks within the corporation. Companies always have some women empowerment networks, never-ending women's beneficial kind of events and community type events within the company to help promote them and raise their profile and visibility for promotion. And it's interesting to see now, okay, men and women are competing on fair and even ground. Not really, because women get favorable treatment. See if women can outwork men, outsmart men, work harder than them, innovate, create more. I don't think there will be, because you look at history and innovation and inventions. Typically, it's men build something and then women will contribute to it after. They're not really building Google when it starts, or building Amazon. That was Jeff Bezos at the start, right? It's really one or two innovative men who kind of start things. Microsoft, you can go through any examples, you can look up the invention history, and it's mainly men. And we can't blame that all on the patriarchy, right? Now, only time will tell, because I think I encourage you to compete with women. Cooperate more with men and compete with women, because women want to compete with men now. I remember seeing at many investment banks, you'd have like men and women who'd be like a power couple. Even if they weren't that senior, they'd have that type of dynamic. And there might be, for example, a man working at Goldman Sachs and a woman working at Morgan Stanley, and they'd be in a similar department and they'd compete for promotions and who can earn more than the other. And obviously, like I said, there are biases in favor of the woman. So many cases I've seen where women were exceeding their male husband or boyfriend rapidly in terms of earning potential, promotion potential, seniority of role. And then you see this bizarre dynamic, and it can create a rift in the relationship where the woman's taking charge in her career and taking charge in the relationship too, and the man's kind of treated like a second-class citizen again in his relationship status. So what you have to understand also is that the reality is not going to look good. You can look up those statistics I've covered in earlier videos. I'm sure many of you have seen about in 2030, 45% of women will be single. But this is the life they chose. And we can't blame this all on feminism or the system or propaganda. Women are making these decisions. They're making the decision to focus on their career, not be in a relationship, or treat men like second-class citizens, or leverage the unfair bias in their favor, even though they can pretend it's not, right? So men need to understand women act more tribally, right? Women look out for their best interest. I never really see, you might have intergender communication, intragender competition, like women competing passive aggressively with each other, but women aren't gonna, talk women down in front of men a lot of the time, right? So the same way women stick together and look out for each other's back, men need to do that too. Instead of men have to kind of fight our natural instinct of competing with each other. We have to understand to collaborate with each other and not step on each other in a sense. If a man's being falsely accused of something, and you can go out of your way a bit and say no, he's not that type of person, he's not misogynistic or whatever he's being accused of, or whatever false allegation, you kind of step up to help him, because that's the reality. Everything's become about identity politics, gender, race, whatever, and you kind of got to leverage that and protect people who are similar views and similar values or background or gender as you. Let's talk about how women conduct themselves at work and what they get away with versus what men have to put up with.
Of what's going on. And right now, women feel like they need to sell sex to get ahead in business. Now, maybe this was always the case, but now we're getting more and more women in the work environment, and more Me Too stuff coming up of like, hey, yeah, that guy did inappropriate things to me. And the inappropriate things, like the whatever, doesn't even have to be named. They just say, oh, I felt uncomfortable. Well, look, I feel uncomfortable when women come to the office and they're scantily dressed. I feel uncomfortable if a woman is in the office gym, if you have a gym at your company, and their pants that show. If I came to the office gym and I wear pants that show all of my genitalia, you're going to say I'm a creep, rightly so. So why is it that we're allowing women to do this? Why is it that women feel that they need to do this? Now, one answer is that they are selling sex to get something that they want, okay? Another answer might be like, oh, it's just pretty. Like there's lots of things that are pretty that don't have to show, the exact outline of all of your genitalia. I hate to even use the word, but like somebody's got to stand up for this and just say like, look, can we please just stop the sexualization of the workplace? And I tell you, it's, maybe it's the men doing it, but I don't think so. And you see what women wear to workplace, and then there's a couple of things that lead us to this point. One, women wear low-cut blouses or whatever to the workplace, and they say, oh, it's so pretty and all of this. If I wore a low-cut shirt, if I wore just like a half-cut shirt or something, it's very pretty or something, I'd be told to go change. Right? If I wore tight leggings and shorts that like, boom, there's my junk, I'd be told to go change. Rightly so. It has no place. Why is that? Well, when women do it, we are not allowed to say, hey, can you go and change? I don't want to see it. Why? You're going to, if you're a man and you tell somebody something like that to a woman, you are going to get brought up on charges with HR or whatever for a...
So this is what it is, right? Women are allowed to live their life however they want, dress how they want, talk down to men, make jokes about men you can't make about a woman because you'd get cancelled. And, if women have no accountability in the workplace, basically, right? And a simp will typically pick up for them, do their work, cover for them, be the guy behind the curtain who's doing the work while she could get the credit as a girl boss type of management. Making men feel uncomfortable, inappropriate, toxic, problematic, all these type of wordings, they only get applied to men or right-wing people or conservative people, or depending who the system wants to cancel next, right? And you have to tolerate this never-ending bias and double standard against you as a man, right? This is why you need to focus on not simping. Right? If you're a man and you simp, or there's other men who simp, just you might make a little disparaging comment or disparaging look at them that you don't really approve of their emasculating behavior. Because men, the same way women look out for each other, men have to look out for each other by, deterring the simping behavior. So, but particularly now, maybe this time of year, there'll be some corporate parties, Christmas parties. Simping will be an all-time high. It's cuffing season. Lots of men out there simping. So we need to kind of pull together and really give the cringe, face palm, awkward look next time you see a man simping in the workplace office. Look at him like he is a loser. He is. hopefully can reform his ways, redirect him to economics, Ethan, of course. Now, when it comes to the way women dress, this is something I've pointed out in the workplace environment. I remember working on the trading floor of major investment banks. Sometimes women would be wearing like dark colored yoga pants in the office, and they get away with whatever they want to wear. And if you're a man, and to be quite funny, in one of the scenarios where I was kind of quiet quitting, I came to work wearing a hoodie and typically it's like you're allowed to wear a jumper in the office, but it can't be a hoodie. And that was never officially told to us, but I get the impression, obviously a hoodie looks a bit more informal. And it was a zip up hoodie, so I was wearing my shirt, but I had a hoodie on top. And it was quite funny to me. So what jumpers are appropriate and not appropriate for men? It's slightly a small change. A jumper without the hood is too informal, but a jumper without a hood is okay for the office. But women wear whatever they want to wear. Sometimes they wear tight dresses, short skirts, high heels, whatever it is. I mean, there's so many different options for a woman, and there's such a tight restriction on what a man can wear. And you see these men in the office, this is why you just can't deal with mainstream society a lot. They're just such pushovers. And it's like, it's just, you reach the point where you're like, I don't even want to associate with these men because they're simps. And that's really what it is. And you have to, and they will go and attack you. That's the funny thing about simps. It's not that it's just that they simp for women. They will attack the male colleagues who don't play along with the simping. They'll act like you're unfriendly or something, right? And this type of hostile work environment really exists, and HR overlook it. You can point out the biases. Why can a woman make a joke about a man's height, for example? You can't make a joke about a woman's weight. Just typical type of things you'll have to deal with, right? You can't discuss it. You can't hold women accountable. You can't enforce a dress code on women. You have to do all of those things on men, though, right? Control what men say, how they dress, hold them accountable. So women say and do a lot of things that make men uncomfortable, right? I remember one time working on a trading floor, and a woman, she's wearing different clothing and different shoes, and she's asking for our opinion on whether it looked good or not. And I was like, you're a work colleague. I didn't say this, but I was like, oh, I'm not sure. I'm no expert on those type of topics. But it's kind of like, you know, are you allowed to comment on a woman's appearance or not? When women can make jokes about a man's appearance, it's completely ridiculous, right? But no one's, like I say, no one wants to hold women accountable. Corporations don't, men in management, male co-workers at the same level don't want to. So it's kind of like, and what's kind of funny is that women are fully aware of the biases in their favor, but they pretend it doesn't exist. And as a man, you have to deal with all these simps who are going to pretend it doesn't exist either. And then you've got like if you're a man who can see through the lies, if you want to use the word based or red pill, you've got so many different demographics working against you. You've got the girl boss, girl power type woman. You've got the older boomer generation who want men to play by gender roles when no one else does. And men are getting treated like second-class citizens, and they don't care because they're in senior roles and they'll overlook it. And then you've got these simps who are maybe in the same age bracket as yourself, as a man working in 20s, 30s, early 40s maybe. These simps will basically make your life difficult too. And women are aware of the social nuances in their benefits. These other men turn a blind eye to it. A woman can exploit it and provoke men with politically incorrect statements. But, you know, the weak men in power and, you know, these simp type characters, they never hold her accountable, but you'd be extremely judged for that. So a woman can be aware of their manipulative, subtle social mind games that they play whenever it's convenient for them, using social dynamics to progress on the basis of their ability to kind of use men in this way. And men want to succeed on the basis of their technical ability or their actual achievements, but that's becoming increasingly difficult now because of these bizarre social dynamics. So that's what it is, man. We've got to hold these simps accountable now. This is your opportunity. If you're dealing with a male colleague and you know him well enough, and like I say, how do you stop the simping? Give a disparaging look, pass a little comment in an indirect way that, why did you say that? Probably don't say that. It's kind of cringe. You might not be able to call him a simp because some simps don't know what simp means, right? They're simping too hard, right? So you might just say it's a bit cringe. Oh, that was a bit weird. Something like that. That's all you can get away with these days. But if you want career advice of navigating this biased work environment against you as a man, dealing with simps, dealing with the girl bosses and the boomers, let me know. Link in description. We can talk directly and find a solution for you. And let me know in the comments some of the funny simping stories you've dealt with in the workplace environment and how you deal with this type of dynamic. 2 recommended videos on your screen right now, and I'll see you next time.